That is the only one that's programmed and you hear properly.
But the other ones still work over there.
It works over Zoom.
Just that one, that's the only one.
Hi, Chad. What's happening?
Okay, all right. All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the regular meetings of the Housing Successor Agency and City Council to order. Deputy City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Sarno,
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Here.
Councilmember Zamora,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez,
Here.
and Mayor Mora.
Here. I'd like to call upon Councilmember Sarno to give the invocation, please.
Please rise. Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on this council as we meet tonight. Grant us both wisdom and compassion as we make decisions about the future of our community. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
I'd like to call upon Youth Leadership Committee member Jasmine Rodriguez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jasmine. Please tell us what grade you're in and what school you go to. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public comments are now open. Anyone joining us through Zoom can use the raise hand function if you wish to make a public comment on any item on the agenda or not on the agenda. The Deputy City Clerk will see if you have raised your hand through the Zoom application. For those that are here to make a comment in person, you will have an opportunity once the City Clerk announces your name. If you wish to speak on a public hearing item, please wait until the public hearing item has opened on that specific item. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Deputy City Clerk, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak today?
Yes, Mayor, we have people waiting to speak in person and via Zoom. We'll start off with the people present in person. So we'll call up Leticia Wilson first.
Okay. Good evening. Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Leticia Vasquez Wilson. I'm one of 8 members on the Central Basin Municipal Water District Board of Directors. I'm elected by the residents of my district. I come before you once again to express my concern about your Public Works Director, Mr. Nguyen, who has been voting in the affirmative to file a frivolous lawsuit against me. We had a hearing on the 28th of October, and it appears as though Central Basin is going to move forward with this frivolous lawsuit. What I find most troubling about this lawsuit is that there were 2 instances where the Central Basin actually applied for a restraining order to have the court silence me about issues of concern to the community. I'm an elected official. I have an obligation to talk about issues that I'm elected to set policy on, and water is one. I have been asked by members of the media to talk about the PFAS that is impacting our communities across the Central Basin Service Area, particularly the city of Downey. I know that Santa Fe Springs has also had its own issues with PFAS. And on both of those occasions, the judges have rejected the restraining orders. And in fact, one judge, Judge Mary Strobel, indicated that there is insufficient showing by plaintiff of a likelihood of success on the merits to support the request that was being made. So I come before you again to ask that you speak to Mr. Negretti. I have emailed actually your city attorney and also your city clerk a copy of the lawsuit. I'm going to leave this for your city clerk. Hopefully she will give, this is my response to the lawsuit. And also the minute orders for the 2 hearings that have already been held that were rejected by the court. And as I mentioned, I come before you asking that you help. This is a waste of taxpayer money. This attorney who is being paid by Central Basin ratepayers, which include the residents of the city of Santa Fe Springs, continues to bill to the tune of, I mentioned, $187,000. This lawsuit was filed earlier this year, so there's been a lot of attempts to basically silence me. That's what this lawsuit is about. I have never heard of an elected official having to ask permission of their colleagues to speak. And so I'm being asked to ask permission of my colleagues before I can speak publicly, which I believe is just totally outrageous. Anyhow, thank you for your time. I will give this to your city clerk. And again, thank you. I would appreciate any help that I can get from you on this. By the way, I have been having to finance my own defense on this. So this has cost me tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees that I'm having to pay
Okay, thank you.
for out of pocket. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, this is Ray Cruz, the city manager. It's the right of the board member to speak, but it's also, there's 2 sides to a story. Mr. Negrete, since this is pending legislation, he's not going to speak on pending legislation as the council doesn't when we're in litigation. But there is 2 sides of the story. He's appointed administratively through the 6 big purveyors, and the board member can keep coming here and making her claim. But like I would say, there's 2 sides of this, and this is the wrong form for that, but she can do what she wants to, but I do feel it's important to state that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Oh, the city manager. Yeah. Oh.
Mr. Mayor, the next person who wishes to speak is Ronald Wilson.
Okay, say your name for the record. You have 3 minutes and move your mask where you speak.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Ron Wilson. I'm an attorney. Oh, I thought he said I should lower it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep it on. My apologies. Thanks for
No problem.
Sorry about that.
Indeed, there are 2 sides to every story. But keep in mind, their position is that she needs to shut up. She can't talk about the water meter charge, which was declared unconstitutional. That's one thing. She can't talk about the PFAS in the water. That's the other thing. And she can't tell the public that she's an elected member of the Central Basin Board. Those are the claims they're making. Now, what they cloak it in is, oh, you're violating the administrative code. You're using our stationery. Guess what? That's the same thing they told Judge Strobel and Judge Beckloff. Writs and receivers, 8th floor. Totally frivolous claim. There is nothing in the administrative code, nothing that prevents her from using the letterhead. Plus, we presented many letters from other members of the board who also use the letterhead without approval of the board. It's a totally ridiculous claim. The other thing they say is, oh, you're running around telling people you speak for the entire board. Another blatant falsehood, lie, whatever you want to call it. Mary Strobel listened to the tapes. She listened to all 3 letters, read them. There's just nothing in there that says that. The judges, Beckloff and Strobel, up on the 8th floor, they do writs and receivers. These are the brightest judges who handle the real complicated cases, injunctions and such things. It took them, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes to throw out the whole request for an injunction. The basic thing is they're saying that she's hurting their image. I ask you to ask your city attorney, and he might not admit it, or she, I don't know if it's a man or woman in public, but a public entity like Central Basin or this council cannot be defamed. I can come here and say, I don't like Santa Fe Springs. I can come here and say Santa Fe Springs is ugly or Beverly Hills is ugly. Even if it's not true, you can't sue me. A public entity has no lawsuit to protect its image like that. That's why they're trying to spin a tale of, oh, she violated the administrative code. But the judges saw right through it. Now, attorney's fees. Robert Baker is his name. He's charged maybe, one bill is 170,000. I think the last one was 30,000. I'm not quite sure exactly how much he's charging for this case. We'll get all the fees back. And there may be personal liability for Mr. Negretti for abuse of process, malicious prosecution. I haven't really researched that. I don't know, but certainly it's a malicious case. One final thing, guess what? They do not claim that anything she said is false. They don't claim it's false. They don't claim she's lying. They don't claim she's misrepresenting the board. They just don't want her to say it. And that's why they spin this tale about, oh, you're using our letterhead, and that violates the administrative code. In any event, I would request you have your attorneys look at it. Totally frivolous. It will be thrown out. We'll recover our attorney's fees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Ivan Sulich.
Yes, please.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Ivan Sulik, Homeless and Housing Deputy for Supervisor Janice Hahn, in addition to the Field Deputy for the proud city of Santa Fe Springs. I'm here this evening in support of the Laurel and Lakeland item on the agenda. This item, this project that we are venturing jointly with the city is a project that's very important to the veteran families that are going to be served here at this facility. There's going to be a broad spectrum of services from interim housing to affordable housing to owning through Habitat for Humanity. And so this is a project that's going to benefit many. And, you know, just a short story, as, you know, someone who used to be homeless, you know, me and my mother, you know, we were homeless when I was just a small child, if you could believe I was a small child, in San Pedro with Harbor Interfaith Services. You know, we stayed in a shelter. Then after that, we went into affordable housing, which allowed my mom to work and allowed her to put me through school. And then now I'm here because of the services that are out there. So I know that, you know, this is a high cost. You know, we've invested money, and I know the city's invested money, but I ask you to look at it as a future investment in the individuals and their children that are going to be here and who are going to be served at this facility. And so I ask that you approve and you move forward with the item. And just want to thank you for your support. There are many cities who aren't doing anything, but Santa Fe Springs is saying that we're going to do something. We're going to help this population, and we're going to do something for those who have served and their families. And so I want to thank you and hope that you will approve this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
The next speaker is Alex Witron.
State your name for the record. You got 3 minutes.
My name is Alejandro Vitron, and I live at Lake Center Park Lane. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. I'm here to give you an update on our communications with regarding the development of the residential development of the property on Florence Avenue next to Lake Center Park Lane. So yesterday we had my wife Irma Vitron, who you guys know already, received a phone call from the Director of Planning from the City of Santa Fe Springs, kind of giving us an update as to what they're doing and asking us, if we had received a phone call or email from the development, the development property, the developer. The issue is that, to summarize the phone call, we get the impression that the planning department is continuing down the path of approving this property for the multi-unit use R3, where this is not even zoned for residential at the time. My wife and I are receiving emails from Mr. Chad Brown, who is the vice president of the planning and development company, Melia Homes, requesting a meeting with us and for us to organize the residents that are concerned about this project and to meet with him. I find that a little bit uncomfortable. I don't see why what the benefit of meeting with the development property would be, because I don't believe that they are planning to change the design from what it is right now. And I base that opinion on the fact that the planning department has not addressed our concerns about the property development. They have not addressed the 6-page letter that we gave to the city on September 13th. And so the meeting with Melia Homes at this point would be, I believe, just to kind of negotiate, maybe moving a window here, moving a window there, and I don't know what else. They are not interested, I don't believe, in changing the design of this development to single home residential, which is what we are asking that the city does. The bottom line is, I believe that this is going to end up either at the commission or in your desk to make a final decision. My request is simply for you to consider all of the residents that are concerned about this project and make your decision about this project based on that. I don't believe that the planning department is truly hearing what our concerns are, and they're certainly not addressing them. And that is very disappointing. But I believe that you guys will make the right decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alex.
Next speaker is Norma Hernandez.
Hello, my name is Norma Hernandez, a resident on Flowland Avenue in Florence. As you may have heard before, with the Vitrones, I'm very uncomfortable with the way that this has been handled in behalf of the developer. And truthfully, I am disappointed in the city as well at this point. The last time we were here, we came here 2 weeks ago. I felt like maybe there was going to be a little bit of traction between now and between then and now. At Planning Commission, we were invited to join the general plan group so that we can maybe become part of what the vision for the city is. I requested to be added and to be invited to the next meeting. I have yet to receive any information besides after 3 or 4 times of my requesting to be added. Then I was added to the email distribution list along with some of the other neighbors, but it did take me to follow up multiple times. And once again, I have yet to be invited to the general plan meeting. And from my understanding, and I hate the fact that I've had to rely on the Vitrones for the information. I feel like has to be an intermediary instead of me being reached out to an individual resident. And not just myself, but the other 180 residents that signed the petition have yet to be reached out to. It's not just a few people, it's a bigger community here than just a few people that you see, and they voiced it by signing those petitions. And with that said, per the Huitrones, and I don't know what more we can do, but they're stating that per Mr. Wayne Morrell, again, the last meeting that I had here 2 weeks ago, Mr. Wayne Morrell said that that General Plan Commission meeting was towards the end stages and that it would be hard for us to be included. It was kind of more finalized. And I just think that there's a disconnect. First, we're invited to be part. So I thought, okay, we're getting some traction. Then Mr. Morrell says, you know what, it's kind of towards the end stages. Maybe it's not a good time. So I'd like some clarification. Are we going to be included or we're not going to be included? What's going to happen? I know, Mr. Hill, you were very kind in saying, hey, we should add some of this stuff in social media. I have yet to see it. We only have our own postings. The community continues to reach out to us. Hey, do we have an update? I don't have an update more than what I'm seeing here. Mr. Brown stating that he wants to meet with the Huitrones. I don't know why I should have to go through Chad Brown. I think it's incumbent upon the city and the people that are represent us to take action and maybe schedule that meeting for us and invite us. I don't think it should be up to the residents to schedule that. It's not okay. We're not, I'm not a planner. I don't know that. And I ask that you please take action. Please schedule the meeting. Please respond to the general plan group and invite us if that's truly what the intention is. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma.
Next speaker is Richard Andrade.
Good evening.
You.
Richard Andrade. I'm one of the residents on the cul-de-sac at Lake Center Park Lane. I'm here to respectfully state my objection to the development. In recent years, the traffic on Florence, especially our intersection, has become increasingly worse. And as a safety issue, it's becoming more of a safety issue as well. There's been more traffic accidents. Building unit or a development with that many units would concentrate more traffic, more population in a smaller area. I've not spoken with other people here, but I'm sure that we would be much more inclined to agree with the single unit homes being built there rather than 63 units. In addition to that, it also creates a privacy issue. If the units are going to be 3 stories high, they have direct view into half the cul-de-sac's backyards. And that's something that we're not okay with. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Richard.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes everybody who wants to speak in person. We'll now move over to the Zoom attendees. The first person is Josie Garcia. I'm having some difficulty unmuting her, so I'd like to request IT to move forward and unmute her if they can.
Okay, Josie, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I would like to speak on the issue of the censorship of an elected official, Leticia Vasquez Wilson. 2 judges have rejected Negrete's request for a restraining order pertaining to her within Central Water Basin. They found that she didn't violate the Central Basin Admin Code. As an elected official, Ms. Vasquez Wilson has the right to communicate with her constituents concerning the toxic PFOAs in the water, which are tiny plastic particles that have been linked to cancer in humans. Negrete is not an elected official. He is appointed by politicians in Southeast Los Angeles in order to solely represent the needs of the water corporations. And he is not there to represent the needs of the working people of Southeast Los Angeles that receive water from Central Water Basin. Why isn't Negrete and the other Central Water Basin directors using the people's taxpayer money to find ways to install a filtration system that will protect the health of the people. He is fleecing the taxpayers of Southeast Los Angeles. He can burn the people's money because, sad to say, he didn't work to earn that money. He doesn't care about the taxpayer money, and he doesn't care about their health. The legal fees could reach into the thousands as he attempts once more to take Ms. Vasquez Wilson into court. Him pushing these court cases after 2 judges have said that they're frivolous so far is akin to white collar crime, fleecing the taxpayer. It's a clear misuse, of taxpayer money, and it's an abuse. The money should be used to protect the health of the people of Southeast Los Angeles. Give them clean water free of toxic plastic particles and allow their elected representative, Ms. Vasquez, to communicate with them and to fight for their health, unlike Negrete. So I implore the city council to speak to Negrete on this very important issue. It doesn't take a rocket scientist attorney to figure out what's going on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Alex Rojas.
Thomas?
Alex Rojas.
Here, can you hear me?
Wait, yes, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Mora, city council members, and the city staff. I'm Alex Rojas, the general manager of the Central Basin Municipal Water District. And I just wanted to assure that the council that the lawsuit that was filed against the director was done in response to a cease and desist letter that was sent on behalf of one of our purveyors to her as an individual. Central Basin in the past has been unfortunately fallen prey to many different types of litigation. And so our actions were done to maximize and protect the district against any legal liabilities for videos that quite frankly weren't authorized or produced by the district. The judges have not considered this case frivolous. What we've asked the courts to do is for Director Vasquez to basically affirm that when and if she communicates or makes a video making accusations regarding water quality, that she clearly just states that she's speaking as an individual and not on behalf of the board of directors. I do offer to meet with the council in closed session. Happy to bring our general counsel if there's any questions. What I do want to recognize and thank the council more specifically about tonight is for your support of Director Negrete to be on our board. You know, public service is sometimes tough and difficult, but I would encourage the public to look at the voting record. And since having Director Negrete on the board, the appointed board members and the majority of the elected board members have taken some bold actions. They lowered imported water rates by 14%. For a city like Santa Fe Springs, which uses several thousand acre feet of imported water, that's several thousand, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars that the city is saving due to his collaboration on the board with the elected officials and other appointeds. If you look at his voting record, not only did he vote to lower imported water rates, but he has voted on the expansion of recycled water, which during a drought is reserving and preserving our very precious drinking water so that we're not using drinking water for non-drinking purposes. One final thing is that with your support, his leadership, and the collaboration of the board majority, we most recently passed a recycled water expansion project with one of your businesses, McMaster Carr, which is a proof of an improved partnership and relationship that not only Central Basin has with you as a customer, but with your ratepayers. And so I do want to thank the council's support for having Director Negrete serve on our board. Since he's been on, the collaboration among the elected and the appointed has not just resulted in better collaboration, but has actually resulted in lower water rates and the expansion of recycled water, which during the drought is so important. So I do want to thank you on behalf of myself, our staff, and the board for your continued support of Director Negrete. And again, thank you for your support.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Mayor, I don't see any more hands raised on Zoom. That concludes all of our public speakers.
Okay, we'll now close public comments and move on to the next item. Item number 6, housing successor agenda. We have one consent item. Do we have a motion for the approval of item number 6?
I'll move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 7. Got an earful here. Approval of resolution numbers HS 2021-003, HS 2021-004, HS 2021-005, and HS 2021-006 related to four housing successor agency actions and the Lakeland and Laurel Affordable Housing Project. Loan funding commitment with Richmond Group of California Development Company, LLC. Number 2, grant funding agreement with TWC Housing, LLC. Number 3, purchase and sale agreement with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Los Angeles and grant funding agreement with Habitat for Humanity, Los Angeles. I'd like to call on Deputy City Attorney Russ Hildebrand.
Evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I'm here tonight to speak to you on this project that has been going on for some time at Lakeland and Laurel. It is a complex but very interesting and unique project comprising homeless services, interim housing, rental affordable housing, and on to the Habitat single-family townhome owner-occupied project, all with affordability restrictions and all needing substantial subsidies to be viable to move on. As you mentioned, we have the 4 actions tonight. You've previously approved purchase and sale agreements for the 3.94 acres that will comprise, it's on the northwest corner, and that will comprise the property that the Richmond Group and the Hochschild will do a parcel map on, and then they will occupy across the street as the about 9.9 acre property where the Habitat project will go. So tonight, we have, October seems to be a very popular month for grant funding applications and notices of funding availability to come out. So we're moving this forward, this item to you, to enable our development partners to take advantage of firm commitments from the city, which are a necessary and important component for high ranking on competitive grants. And it will take, as I said, layers of financing to make these things happen. Typically in affordable housing projects, you're going to get a minimum of 4 and many times up to 8 different layers of financing involved. One of the reasons I'm here tonight with just a commitment letter for the loan to Richmond Group is for that very reason. They're asking for $6 million. They simply need to have a formal letter from the city that through the housing agency would commit those restricted funds that are in your low and moderate housing asset fund. The reason for this is if we did a full loan package, there's typically a dozen lawyers involved by the time they get all of their funding in place, and that's not known right now. And they will tinker back and forth with these loan packages. So it's just a little premature to have the whole package in front of you tonight. So the important part, if I could go to the next slide, please. The important part is that the $6 million is a loan, residual receipts, 55-year term. So you'll be getting your money back over time. It's a long time, but you'll be getting your money back on that. The Hochschild grant request is for 1.1 million. The Habitat grant request is 1.3 million. So are you spending your money wisely? And I put together just a couple of slides to give you some information about how I would do an evaluation and have done evaluation of this project. And cities looking to maximize their bang for the buck. You've got 11 million or something in your housing fund. You've got a finite amount of money and a finite amount of property. So what can we do? I have run across a very interesting article, a report put together by the Turner Center for Housing Innovation, a think tank at UC Berkeley. And they did a report on the cost of affordable housing production with the 9% low income housing tax credit program, which is very likely one of the sources that Richmond Group will use for their project, or at least make that application. And it shows that between 2016 and 2019, they evaluated affordable housing projects across the state and found that it's costing $425,000 to $480,000 a unit to build those doors per unit. The Lakeland and Laurel, we looked at the pro forma for this project, and they show a development cost of $63,323,337. And that includes the valuation of the land that the city has put in. So sometimes we just talk about, as of tonight, $8.5 million, but there's actually much more than that. The city's putting the land into the project as an investment partner. So we come up with $15,241,461 from the city. So the city's contribution with that total development cost and 138 units, it comes out to 459,000 rounded per unit, which is right there where right in the middle of where the Turner Institute is telling us in their statewide study, they found that that is the typical cost of an affordable housing unit. So at your 15 million for 138 units, you're putting in 110,400 per unit. If you were acting alone rather than getting 138 units for your money, you'd get simply 33 units for your money. So I think it's a very good leveraging opportunity, and it would appear that it's very consistent with statewide analysis, and you're leveraging your money way up from 33 to 138. Okay, next slide. So the terms of the Richmond Group loan, as I mentioned, and this has been previously discussed, and a conditional commitment was made in the purchase and sale agreement to fund this. But terms $55 million, is $6 million of, as I said, money that is already restricted and is to be used for production of affordable housing. You don't have other options for the use of that money. They will make annual payments from residual receipts, which is just simply, their net after expenses, which has to be shared amongst all of us who are funding the project, their construction loan, any other loans that are taken out in the various layers. Some of the limitations here, we have it's very important that the Richmond Group stay our partner in this and not sell this off. So there's a limitation upon change in ownership. We will be asked to subordinate to the senior construction financing. And this loan, just as the purchase and sale agreement is, the developer is required to obtain all land use entitlements from the city, and the project must be reviewed under the California Environmental Quality Act, and that approval finally done. That CEQA approval will go with the land use entitlements, which go to the Planning Commission for final decision. Unless appealed to you, you won't see those decisions on the entitlements themselves. Next slide, please. The whole child grant is for $1.1 million. Again, this is from the Low Mod Housing Asset Fund. They're expecting their construction funds to come from this grant, County of Los Angeles SD4 grant, and a Bezos grant. The other two grants have already been secured. So of the three development partners, they have probably the most known financing route right now, and the most predictable and the most secured of the groups. Again, they are required to get their land use entitlements. So this grant funding agreement is conditional on them closing the sale of the land, complying with all the conditions in the purchase agreement that were put in place, and the conditions of this grant funding agreement, which include getting your land use entitlements to and your CEQA clearance. So we're approving the grant funding, but they have no right to the money until they are ready to build, construct, and have all of their approvals. So your commitment tonight is conditional on these other acts happening by the development group. Next slide, please. Habitat for Humanity of Greater Los Angeles, $1.3 million from the same restricted funds. They expect it will be this grant. They put developer equity of their own into these projects of about 10%. They'll get a bank construction loan and other grants as necessary to finance the project. All three of these developers have recognized that we've hit a real spike of inflation and construction costs over the last year. So we are going to be dealing with that potentially with additional grant applications. You may have me back here asking you to participate in some other funding applications for grants to try and close that gap. But at this time, the numbers we're talking about with the three developers have stayed consistent over the last couple of years, and they're not asking more of you than they have in the past, and we've discussed. Next slide. So the key terms that are consistent in all of these agreements are the land and loan grant funding will not close until the necessary project entitlements, the CEQA analysis and documentation have been approved by the city. As I mentioned, the Planning Commission and are final. They will all have a regulatory agreement to keep it affordable, and to the extent they can balance compliance with fair housing law, there will be veterans preference given for all of these projects, which was requested by the city. They can do that from a programmatic standpoint. They can't do it by a hard line rule from the city, or it would violate the conflict with the fair housing laws. So, and then the third point is that the property is being sold as is, and there is a hazardous waste situation on the northwest corner on the Richmond site. It came from, it's a tail that has migrated from an industrial building next door to the property. And Richmond Group has taken that on. So part of your investment in this project is getting the city's property cleaned up from the hazardous waste. They are working with the Department of Toxic Substances Control for voluntary cleanup program, and they will get that remediated. The contamination is not severe. It's fairly reasonable to deal with, but any contamination and cleanup of a site is always a challenge, and they are taking that task on as part of their development process. So I know one of the questions that has come up and is a concern, and a very good concern, is how do we know if we make these commitments that this project is going to be constructed? And you know, part of that is by your vetting of this development group and your prior analysis and selection of them. But where we are right now with this step, I think I can't answer that as well as the developers can. I believe they're on a track of about 2 years to look for acquiring all their funding. As I said, the whole child is further ahead, probably in solidifying all of their funding sources compared to the other two groups. But I have available for you all of the representatives. Rick Westberg from Richmond Group is here. I'd like him to come up and say a few words to you about what happens now after this takes place. He has been the lead for the triumvirate of developers that are working together on this project. If you would like to hear from Whole Child, Costanza Pachonas here, and as well as, I believe, Daryl Stimian from Habitat LA is on Zoom. So you're welcome if you'd like to hear from them as well. But I'd like Rick to come up and say a few words about where he sees the construction timeline moving on for this project. Before we do that, are there any questions for me right now?
No, thank you very much.
Good. Rick, are you-
Esteemed council members, mayor, city manager, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Rick Westberg. I'm Executive Vice President for the Richmond Group. I'm responsible for the Western region. We're a development company started in 1986. We develop housing, market rate housing, and we're known for our high quality, affordable housing. We develop on a national scale. We have 12 offices across the country, and we think that we'll be delivering about 7,000 to 8,000 units in the next 36 months. In addition to being a developer, we're also a property manager of everything we build, especially on the affordable side. We end up holding these assets for a long time in partnership with the city. And so we want to property manage those assets to ensure their quality and long-term sustainability. Lastly, I will note that we are also a tax credit syndicator, and that is a fancy that's a fancy term to describe a function that our company fulfills. We raise money and place that money as an investment in affordable housing. And that since 1986, we've raised $14 billion for investment in affordable housing. Currently in Los Angeles, we just finished over 500 units in 4 projects. We have under construction 6 projects, over 700 units, including a high-rise downtown in Skid Row for homeless housing, some other unique projects I can go into. And looking forward, we have 2,400 units under contract in our pipeline in Los Angeles, including a 1,600 unit master plan in downtown San Pedro that we've partnered with the city of Los Angeles Housing Department. So we're excited. We're excited about all of the things that we're doing, particularly this project. It's a very unique project. And I think we couldn't be happier with our partners. I think that's really the story for this project, the fact that we have such high quality sponsors with the Whole Child and Habitat for Humanity, and that this project really provides for balance in terms of transitional housing, an element for those needing some immediate resources, and the affordable apartments that we will be developing, and also Habitat's component of for sale housing. And so you have this sort of microcosm of future housing that I think will provide a very balanced resource for the community and for the city of Santa Fe Springs. I want to make 2 other points about the project. And one is just all the progress that we've made. These public-private partnerships are very complicated. It's what I do for a living. We're very used to it. In addition to the city's involvement, we have the county's involvement. I thank Ivan for saying a few words during public comment. They've made a strong commitment, in particular to the transitional housing portion of the project, but they've also provided a lot of oversight and review of our CEQA document, our entitlement document. And we're on the eve of publishing that. In fact, I think we're ready to publish that once Wayne is back at work full time. And it's just been a long process of review, but as you know, when you publish those documents, you want them to be really a strong and correct document that that tells the story that we all want it to and need it to. And in addition to that, I know Mr. Hildebrandt described our progress with the Department of Toxic Substances Control, the DTSC. We're working with them to get the environmental approvals necessary to ensure the safety of future residents and address the liabilities. So we've made a lot of progress. Tonight is a big milestone. The other thing I wanted to mention was that these projects that we work on, we want to leverage the investment. And so we bring outside investment, like I was talking about earlier in terms of the equity we bring to a project, but it's a public-private partnership. And so the city is making an investment as well. But now it's our job to leverage that investment. And so we take this commitment to the project, and now we go out and we layer the subsidies, as Mr. Hildebrandt mentioned. We go find other subsidies in addition to the city subsidy. And that just makes it more efficient in terms of, really only asking for what we need and then going and leveraging the county and the city, the state for additional funding. So that's the next step. We've had a lot of success over the last 5 or 6 years in doing that. Plenty of examples that I can point to and address if you're interested. But I'm excited. I'm excited to get to that next stage. And the last thing I'll mention is just the public benefits associated with the project. This project, from my understanding, will address a lot of the city's housing needs, regional housing assessment needs that are just really so important right now in the state of California. We also will be paying prevailing wages and typically have a local hire component to all of our construction projects, which should benefit the local workers. And I guess I already mentioned the fact that we'd be cleaning up the environmental schmutz from the neighbors, by the way. So again, if you have any questions, please, I'm here to answer any of those, but I hope you consider this proposal tonight, and we want to keep the momentum moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I have a question for, actually, I am interested in the examples that you have. So if there's anything that you can send us or send myself, I'd greatly appreciate it. Just to see the housing itself where in our neighboring cities, it helps us out just to see what the outlook's going to be. And also, do you guys hire some kind of private security when you guys do the housing? While you're doing it, we know right now there's a lot of theft, things happening. So how's that going to play a role? I know that when it comes to our Whittier PD, that we love greatly. I know sometimes when you guys are building, what type of structure, what type of process do you guys have to protect your guys' assets there?
Good questions. I can definitely follow up with some examples, and you'll see that we've recently completed projects in Cerritos. We have a project in Duarte currently under construction. Those are probably the closest. And the answer is yes. It's typically dependent on the location. Not every location requires security, but many do, maybe most do. And so we'll have security during construction. We have, on all of our projects, we have the cameras and the remote cameras. So that's become just something we do on every project. But we also will hire 24-hour personal security to be on site when it's needed. And then in addition to that, during operations, we will often, all of our projects will be fobbed and securitized in terms of just the residents and protecting them. But there are some projects, typically the ones near transit, that we will have a security guard during certain hours as well. So we would tailor it, I think, specific to the needs of this community.
And then also my other question would be, of course, to tailor it to the needs of our community is to also look at our residents first that need homelessness, need the homeless housing, whether it be our veterans, having that priority. That would that would help us out. I know through our schools, we have also they have their own little homeless, what is it? They actually know who needs the help. So you can go through some of their specialists to actually, I don't want to give out too much of the HIPAA laws, but, going through their specialists to actually help out whoever it may be. So that'd be something, because we know some of these residents that, things took place that, made them lose their house. And of course, we just want to do whatever we can to help out those individuals here in our community first. So hopefully that's something that, the Richmond group, can prioritize for us. All right, thank you.
Unless there are further questions or requests for further comments, that would conclude my presentation for you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Pleasure being here.
And thank you
Fun
for
to
coming in
Zoom.
from Texas. Appreciate that. Thanks, Russ. Okay. All right, is there a motion for the approval of item number 7?
I'll move 7.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, and those opposed? So ordered. Item number 8, successor agency agenda. We have one consent item. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 8?
I'll move.
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and those opposed? Item number 9, city council agenda. We have 3 consent items. Do we have a motion for the approval of the city council consent items?
I'll move A, B, and C.
Second. Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 10, public hearing. Item number 10, consideration of an appeal of development plan approval case number 980 and related environmental documents. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public hearing, item number 11, alcohol sales conditional use permit case number 79. I'd like to call upon Director of Public Services, Dino Torres.
Mr. Mayor, before we proceed with that item, city attorney would like to just give a brief update on the previous item that we just passed.
I'm sorry. Number,
Apologies, Mayor and Council. Just for the record, on the last item, it was for a continuance of the public hearing to Mr. Mayor. I just want to be sure that the record is clear that the last item was a continuance of the appeal of the public hearing to Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. Thank you.
thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Dino.
Yeah, the first slide, please. Thanks. Good evening, council. This is a request by Hiro Nori Ramen Restaurant to obtain an alcohol sales permit from the city. They're located at 10574 Norwalk Boulevard. Next slide, please. Here's an aerial view of the location. It's around 2,400 square feet within a 3,500 square foot development. It's on the southeast corner of Norwalk Boulevard and Clark. The restaurant has been there since 2019. Hironori also serves alcohol at its 6 other locations. Next slide, please. Oh, that is the next slide. Here's another aerial shot. The entire property has 21 units. There are 72 parking spaces and 4 driveways for patrons to access. Hironori is a family restaurant that operates from 11:30 a.m. to 8:45 p.m. 7 days a week. And the Villages, I think, is north of that. Next slide, please. Along with this request, the applicant is also seeking their Type 41 ABC license that allows them to sell alcohol for on-site consumption. The conditions staff put together are attached in Exhibit A and are typical of a restaurant of this type. The conditions deal with serving alcohol to patrons per ABC regulations, to dealing with graffiti, litter, the inclusion of a security plan. Next slide, please. The recommendations today are to open the public hearing regarding this permit for any public comments, approve the permit subject to the conditions in Exhibit A, and adopt Resolution 9732. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Dino.
Thank you.
Deputy Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Mr. Mayor, it doesn't look like anybody who wants to speak on this item.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, you said no one?
No,
Oh,
there's
I'm
no
sorry.
one. There is no
There's
one
one
who wants to
speaker.
speak.
I can't hear with this mask. What's going on? Okay, I can't. Yeah, but the mask. Anyway, we will now close public hearing. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 11?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Okay, new business item number 12, the purchase of one new 2022 Ford Explorer from Fairway Ford. I'd like to call Director of Purchasing Services, Paul Martinez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council. The item before you is for the purchase of one 2022 Ford Explorer. This vehicle will be assigned to fire rescue as a battalion chief standby unit. The Explorer was chosen over the Traverse because this unit will be upfitted for Code 3 with lights, sirens, and radios. There are upfit kits available to attach to this equipment for explorers because of statewide use and public safety. It's not to say that you couldn't upfit a Traverse, but it would take longer and be more expensive to custom make all the brackets required for a one-off unit. The next slide are the vendors who received specifications for this unit. And we received 6 bids and recommend awarding this order to Fairway Ford as the lowest responsible bidder. Any questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I wanted to say there was a savings. I saw that there was a savings in the notes of about 15,000. So wanted to thank you for all your efforts in saving us money.
Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, do we have a motion for the approval of item number 12?
I'll move.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 13, approval of amendment number 4 to lease agreement between the city of Santa Fe Springs and the Whole Child for the use of modular building located at the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center. I'd like to call upon Family and Human Services Manager Ed Ramirez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Council may recall May 4th, City Council approved amendment number 3 to allow the continued modular use for family services provided by the Whole Child. That agreement was through the end of October of this year. The Whole Child continues to provide supportive services and linkages of resources to the Department of Public Services or Social Services, Mental Health, and Public Health, to also include external resources. The past fiscal year, the Whole Child actually served 32 families in Santa Fe Springs and 823 families throughout the service planning area 7, SPA 7. As council is aware, the Whole Child had informed the city that they had purchased a facility in the city of Downey, which at that time we were informed that the conclusion of that construction would be October of this month, actually. And I actually was notified by Whole Child asking if they could please extend by 1 month because of some inspections that they needed to complete, and of course to prepare to move or relocate to the new facility. So per the direction of the last council meeting, the last approval, there was a direction to provide the market rate if they were to request an additional month or moving forward. So before you, we have amendment number 4, which would allow the Whole Child to a lease extension for until the end of November. That would actually include a market rate of $2,250. This was actually benchmarked through William Scotsman based on the square footage and the condition of the actual units themselves. So those actually were former William Scotsman bungalows, as you're aware. So this evening, we are asking that City Council approve amendment number 4 to the lease agreement between the City of Santa Fe Springs and the Whole Child to extend the lease term for 1 month with the modular unit located at the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center for a monthly rate of $2,250, and then authorize the mayor to execute and sign amendment number 4 between the City of Santa Fe Springs and the Whole Child.
All right, thank you.
Any
Ed.
questions?
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll move. Second.
Yeah, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 14, Heritage Park Train Exhibit Improvements. Authorization to advertise for construction bids. I'd like to call upon Director of Public Works, Noah Negrete.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to call upon our Assistant Civil Engineer, Leonard Liu, to make the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Moore, City Council. As Noe mentioned, I'm the Assistant Civil Engineer. My name is Leonard, and I'll be presenting to you the Heritage Park Train Exhibit Improvements. This project entails providing some upgrades to the paint on the locomotive and the existing caboose car at the Heritage Park Train Exhibit. And we'll also be upgrading some paint on some of the amenities, as including the handrails and the staircase and some of the signage. Next slide, please. We'll also be, We'll also be upgrading some of the paint on some of the train exhibit frames and the light enclosure boxes. Next slide. And we'll also be looking to repair and replace some of the damaged glass windows and damaged window frames on both of the locomotive and caboose cars. Lastly, we'll be looking to repair any deteriorated or rotten wood and trying to repair any of the corroded metal on the train engine and the caboose cars. And this concludes my presentation. Is there any questions?
All right. Any questions? All right, Leonard, good job. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the approval of item number 14?
I'll move.
Do we have a second?
Can I get a clarification on the move?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Juanita and Annette.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, item number 15, Pioneer Boulevard Improvement Project, Charlesworth Road to Los Niños Road, award of contract for on-call personal engineering services. I'd like to call upon Director of Public Works, Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item here, if you remember back in July, we added this project to our capital improvement plan, which is basically the design is here before you on Pioneer Boulevard from Charlesworth to Los Santos Road. This is a major cut through. If you're on the freeway, the 605 to get off the 605, we're seeing that in particular in the southbound direction. It's really getting beat up in that pavement. What you have before you, we went out to our on-call engineering list of that was approved previously in April. We did receive a total of 7 bids. And what you have before you is we're recommending that you accept the quotes and award a contract to NV5 from Irvine in the amount of $48,500. And that you authorize me to execute a task order with NV5 to start the design of that road. And that's just the current existing condition of that pavement. If you've driven that, it's deteriorated exponentially, again, especially in that southbound direction, because of the heavy volumes of cars that are coming off the freeway to get around the 5605 interchange. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
So why didn't we use Corey Engineering if they were the lowest? And I know as
So-
a city, we use them quite often, so.
It's a great question, Councilmember Zamora. So as you know, we do have an on-call. Corey is one of those, as well as the other 7. Price is one of the factors that we do consider, but also the qualifications, the project manager, their past experience on roads. And in this case, the evaluation in V5 scored the highest. And we're not, remember, this is part of the Brooks Act. So if you recall, for professional services, we're not required to take the lowest bidder. What we do is we ask, we usually take the most qualified.
No, on that street, is there anything we can do about those truck signs, you know, where it says where trucks can't be driving on that street and where we can make them bigger? Because I know the one off of Los Nietos Road, since it's a small sign and you get a lot of trucks going through there and it just rumbles like it's an earthquake for those residents that live around there.
Yeah, that's something we can take a look at here. We'll have our traffic engineer take a look at that. We'll go the biggest possible that's legally possible.
Even if we can do, instead of just one, if we have to do a couple, you know, just to help it out. It's just, like I said, that's what beats up that street quite a bit are the big trucks that go through there.
Yeah, what you're referring to is between Los Nietos and Telegraph. It's actually a weight restricted road where the semi trucks are not supposed to go through. But like I was telling you before, what happens is the 605 in the southbound direction does get heavily congested. Trucks are finding their way around that. And a lot of them do use that and they take the chance of avoiding law enforcement from giving them a ticket on that. That'll be a good segue for my next item, by the way, when you talk about trucks on our streets.
All right, I'm setting it up for you, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just put it on a tee for you now. Get a home run, Noe.
Seen the way it golfed yesterday, so.
I didn't see it, so.
Right. Thank you, Noe. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 15?
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 16, truck traffic impact report. Public Works Director Noe Negrete, once again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have another report in front of you. This is just a receive and file, okay? So as you know, we are in the process of doing our CIP needs assessment. We'll be doing that probably sometime in November. We'll be coming back to you with our wish list of projects. One of the main projects you're going to see is our roads, right? Our roads need to be repaired. And what we've been working on over the last several months is looking at the conditions of those roads and how they're falling apart. So Councilmember Zamora did talk about that. We are an industrial city, commercial city, a lot of businesses, and with those come trucks. And what we're seeing is those road conditions are starting to literally fall apart, and we're getting a lot more complaints. But first, let's just talk about why they're here. Okay, again, we're an industrial city. We're right next to the 605 and the 5. We're on the way from the ports, both ports, LA and Long Beach, on the way to the Inland Empire. That's where they want to get the goods, okay? Now, I'm sure you've seen on the news, all those containers that are, off on these barge ships trying to get offloaded. A lot of those containers come to our city. What they do is they bring the goods into a warehouse in our city, typically 45-foot truck, offloaded at one end of the warehouse, pack it up into a bigger truck, 53-footer. He gets on our roads, heads off to the freeway, and makes his way out to the Inland Empire. Some of those goods do stay here, but we are a major commerce center, basically for the western part of the U.S. Goods come through our city. That's a good thing for the economy. It's a bad thing for our roads, okay? And what we did is we've taken a look at roadway damage and how that comes about. If you recall, back in 2016, we performed a study and we evaluated each of our road segments. We designated a number 1 through 5, 1 being the poorest, 5 being the best, like a newly paved street. And what we looked at, we took out all of our streets that were residential or had weight restrictions, as Councilmember Zamora was talking about. They're streets where trucks are not supposed to go. So we took those out of the evaluation and looked at solely streets where trucks are coming to and from. Obviously, we could agree that our major thoroughfares and arterials see more truck traffic. Telegraph, Florence, Norwalk, Slauson, to name a few. But we also have collector streets that a lot of businesses are located that are also getting beat up over time. What you see here in that table, there's good news and bad news here. Over the last 4 years, we've really dedicated a lot of funding from our CIP into our roadways. And we had a lot of number 1 streets that were bad that have now become to a 5 because we've addressed those. So particularly, we looked at Florence, both segments, the segment between Pioneer and Oranday, also the segment between Bloomfield and Norwalk. The biggest one we get the most complaints on was Los Santos Road. Okay, so you can see we've taken care of those, as well as some other streets. And if you look at now, we only have roughly under 4% of our roads where trucks can drive on are in poor condition. If you go to the next step, number 2, just under 8%, so roughly under 12% total is 1 and 2 roads. So that, do the math opposite, 88% of our roads are in fair to good shape. That's the good news. Okay, the bad news is we need to fix those roads that are in bad shape. We looked at 3 different examples in the report. I won't go through each one in detail, but essentially, if you go a high, medium, low repair is the easy way to look at it. Obviously, the high repair is going to be more costly. The medium repair is in the middle. The low repair is going to be the least costly. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get after the least costly roads as much as you can, right? If I can extend that road's life without having to do that costly repair, then I've extended the life of that road. So just think of your car. If you're doing preventative maintenance on your car constantly, hopefully most likely it doesn't break down. But if you do no maintenance and wait till it breaks down, that's when you have the most costly repairs. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with our roadway system. I won't go into this too much, but as far as costs go, we looked at different projects, actual numbers of projects that went out to bid. and we gave those a unit price. These are probably low now because materials are going higher. They're not getting less. But essentially what we're saying is it costs us $11 a square foot for a high fix. A medium fix is going to cost $6.50 a square foot and 40 cents a square foot for the least expensive option. And as we explained to the CIP subcommittee, those prices do include when we go on a road, we want to fix the sidewalk. We want to fix the curb and gutter. We want to fix the driveways. That's included in that price, okay? And slide here, okay? Again, we're a heavily industrialized city. So what I want you just to walk away from this, everything in blue is where a truck could go legally. Some go illegally, but we can't, that's what we have law enforcement for. Legally, everywhere in blue is where a truck could go. When we add up the numbers in this report, just looking at those roads where trucks can go to fix all those streets, just say we won the lottery, was it $650 million or whatever? So we won that lottery and we decided to fix all our roads in 1 year. We would need just over $97 million to do that. So this is the math problem, okay? How much money do we set aside each year for our CIP, total CIP? Not just roads, facilities, everything else. $3 million. So what we're trying to bring to the attention of the council is we need to start looking at other revenues. It's a math problem. Or we need to either lower the expectation of our roadway conditions. It's not going to be at 88%. And the problem is that the 12% is very loud, right? That's who we get the complaints from, is the 12% saying we have a poor road. We get very few calls from the 88% saying, thank you for my nice road. And if we continue in this fashion, we're not going to have money to keep up with the pace that we need to be able to keep our roads in that condition, to keep those trucks and keep our residents coming to and from work. So take a look at the report. I'm happy to take questions now or afterwards. It is a lot to grasp, but we are working with the city manager on trying to look at new ways to generate revenues to try to address this problem. Happy to take questions.
Mr. Mayor, this is Ray Cruz, city manager. Just kind of tailing on this discussion. So you see, we have the math problem. It's almost $100 million. They cannot fix all of that at one time. They have limited staff, even if they have the money. So we're kind of looking for a $10 million a year revenue over 10 years. And as Noe just stated, that may be low now because of the costs for asphalt and other materials have gone up. So with that stated, when I was looking at the city before I got the job, I just noticed there was a number of streets in very poor condition, and that's gotten worse in my 3.5 years here, and found that we did not have a really ongoing revenue source. And I do want to thank the general public and the business sector for passing Measure Y that got us out of our structural deficit and got us to our typical $3 million a year for CIP projects. But it's really not enough to deal with our long-term road issues. So we are working on a plan, which will probably be unveiled by the end of this year. Presently, we're working with the Chamber of Commerce in a subcommittee that was appointed on this topic, how to raise revenue in a way that's fair and equitable for the businesses that are actually impacting the roads and bringing us very little or no revenue. So we have some ideas. We're not going to share those all now, but this was a very important piece to show the methodology of how they came across where the conditions our roads were. So I thank Noe and his staff to get this together, and we're going to be, we wanted to unveil it officially to you first, because we'll be meeting soon with that committee again, and they're going to scrutinize the document and we'll be answering their questions. But I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Okay. No questions? All right. Thank you, Noe. We have a motion for the approval of item number 16.
I'll move.
I second.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 17, Adopt resolution number 9733, approving changes to the salary schedule and approval of related personnel modifications. I'd like to call upon Director of Finance, Travis Hickey.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm here again with the next round of personnel modifications. There's several. We don't have the slides on. I'll just go without it. There were several changes to existing job classifications. There were 3 new positions that the council authorized in the budgets. So 3 new job classifications to go along with those. One of those was a librarian 2. We already have a librarian 2. This new one is a different classification because it's focused more on technical services. So that one was already in our salary schedule. We didn't need to make a modification for that. The other 2 new ones were the maintenance worker 2 and a facilities lead worker. Both of those are new positions that required placement into the salary tables. And so you can see at the bottom of the slide there, the facilities lead worker was slotted into range 164, maintenance worker 2 into range 175. So that's the second part of this item, is adopting resolution 9733 to affect those changes to the salary schedule. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
A motion for the approval of item number 17.
I move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. All right, some presentations. Proclamation proclaiming October 23rd through 31st, 2021 as Red Ribbon Week. I'd like to call upon Deputy City Clerk to read the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during the month of October, and whereas the residential and business communities, along with local schools, will come together to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free communities and neighborhoods. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Santa Fe Springs does hereby proclaim the week of October 23rd through October 31st, 2021 as Red Ribbon Week.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call upon Family and Youth Intervention Supervisor Rick Brown to discuss this year's Red Ribbon Campaign activities. Rick.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. It's been a while. It's always nice to be here and be able to give a presentation. This year, I wish that I could come up here and give the normal presentation with everyone looking forward to the highlight of the parade associated with the Red Ribbon. But due to the ongoing challenges and circumstances, we will not be able to have the parade this year, unfortunately. As disappointing as that is to everyone, we can't forget the importance of the Say No to Drugs message to our community, or the reason why Santa Fe Springs has been part of the National Red Ribbon Campaign for over 30 years. Just a bit of background, the Red Ribbon Week is held in memory of Special Agent Enrique Kiki Camarena, an 11-year DEA veteran assigned to a unit in Mexico. On February 7th, 1985, he was kidnapped, tortured, and eventually murdered by Mexican drug traffickers. Red Ribbon Week will take place here in Santa Fe Springs and across the nation the week of October 23rd through the 31st. To make sure we're continuing our efforts to getting our community to think about this message, we'll be conducting an art contest involving 2 high schools, 1 middle school, and 7 elementary schools. There'll be prizes awarded to 3 winning art selections in each grade level, K through 12. Additionally, we'll be having a school decorating contest to the Red Ribbon theme the week of the 25th through the 29th. All participating schools and their children will receive a special treat during that same week. We'll be at each of our local schools promoting the message, producing a bird's eye view video of the Santa Fe Springs Red Ribbon Week activities. I also will be reaching out in the next couple of weeks to each council member to set up an interview or a brief discussion on the importance of Red Ribbon Week. To highlight your discussion and your answers as what it means to you in a video presentation and production. This piece will be posted on city website and social media platforms. It's going to be quite different than what we've done in the last couple events where they're scripted. We really are looking forward to kind of sitting down and getting what comes from the heart from you, council, and what it means for this message to be really put out there to our community at Santa Fe Springs. So we're looking forward to spend a little bit of time with you. We're honored to have Sepia Productions and Steve Brown. That might be a familiar name to many of you because he's done some outstanding work with our Every 15 Minutes program. And we're going to partner with him again this year to create a really quality piece. That's something that we can use moving forward again, and again, take it another level in terms of a message that is very powerful for our community. We are extremely fortunate to have such a high caliber of dedicated administrators and teachers in our 3 local school districts. We have a few of these MVPs that are here this evening, and I'd like to take this opportunity to call them up and receive this year's Red Ribbon Proclamation. First, we have from Little Lake City School District, Lake Center Middle School Principal Jack Sokoloff. I believe the proclamations are right up front. Oh, great. And then we have Los Nietos School District Superintendent Jonathan Vasquez. And we have Whittier Union High School District Santa Fe High School Principal Craig Campbell. Once again, thank you, gentlemen, for all that you do every day with our students and the role that you play as mentors in our community. It means everything. And always more than willing to be part of these presentations and make a long day even longer. I appreciate that very much. So council, thank you for all you do and all your continued support. And I'll be reaching out in the next couple of weeks to set up that interview so we could start gathering those thoughts of what it all means, and we'll sit down and have a little bit of a discussion. Thank you very much. Have a very nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, next we have a proclamation proclaiming the month of October 2021 as National Community Planning Month. I'd like to call upon Deputy City Clerk to read the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community, and whereas the full benefits of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Santa Fe Springs does hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as National Community Planning Month.
I'd like to call upon Assistant Director of Planning, Kwang Nguyen, to receive the proclamation. All right, and we have a presentation from Rio Hondo College President Teresa Dreyfus, State of the College. I'd like to call upon Rio Hondo College President Teresa Dreyfus.
Okay, good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor, council members, city manager, staff, and community leaders and members. And I want to thank you to giving us this opportunity to share with you the state of Rio Hondo College. Before I start, I would like to introduce our Board of Trustee clerk, Crystal Orozco, to say a few words.
Hello, and thank you, Superintendent, President Dreyfus. Good evening, Mayor Mora, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, and Santa Fe Springs City Council members. As a Board of Trustee and Clerk of the Rio Hondo College Community District, thank you for the opportunity to present to you our state of the college, where we will share how we prepare to safely reopen our campus for the fall semester and how we expanded our services to ensure student success during the pandemic. Lastly, thank you for your continued partnership.
Thank you.
So I would like to share with a few items we've been carry out last few months and also last few semesters. So at our August 18th special board meeting, our board unanimously approved the mandate for our employees, students to have vaccination shots. And we are working on the process, how we can tracing and monitoring the shots. Our campus is so safe that we prepare so much that for them to return for the fall semester. And our enrollment with the in-person teaching is about 25% at this point. And part of our safety preparedness for the fall 2021, we installed filtration with MERV 13 filters and also ionization equipment for all the buildings we have. The air is like a hospital air, and it's very, very safe for our students and faculty teaching and learning. We also have 4 vaccination clinics, 2 at our El Monte Educational Center happened, and then quite a few participants, over 100 each time, and also 2 at our campus, main campus. 1 was last month. Last week and last month. Also, I'd like to share with you that the board approved the adopted budget in our September board meeting. With the community college, the board has to approve the budget by September 15. So I'm very happy to share with you that fiscally, we also sound. Our unrestricted general fund reserve, as you know, that we can spend unrestricted funds on the general fund. Whatever is necessary, is about $24 million. And the percentage is 25.3% for unrestricted reserve. So I would like to say that the Rio Hondo College is so solvent and stable. In addition to, on the financial side, that we are only a few community colleges in the state of California, we have a lifetime medical benefits. Our funds on the post-retirement funds is over $17 million that's set aside for our retirees' benefits. There are so many campus accomplishments that I would like to share with you, but because with the time constraints, I'll just like to share a few with you. We have tested a program for last several years, and then they train our internship, and after they train our students, and they all get the jobs all over the United States. Now they also start with the test the energy program with Rio Hondo College with the solar panels. And I'm also very proud to say that our nursing students, when they graduate, they take the national exams. The passing rate is 99 to 100% passing rate. Almost everyone who take the test passed. During the pandemic, we distribute quite a few stuff for our student needs, like a Chromebook, hotspot, laptops, desktop computers, digital cameras, and the graphing calculators to our students that they are needed to help our students for their studies. Also, with the police and the fire academy, we graduate over 130 of them each during the pandemic. And I know that with our fire academy training facility is so close to your fire department, and we joined the we enjoy the partnership between the two departments. Also, as you know, that with the federal aid that we give $41 million to our students as of June 2021 as a financial aid to help students for their needs and then the daily necessities. And in May, we have a commencement instead of a commencement. And there are so many students participate in the commencement. Out of 1,800 associate degree award to our students in May, 1,200, they got associate degree and transferred to the Cal State universities. So our marketing, the director of marketing is here with us, Ruth, that, we participate with the California Community College Chancellor's Office. And what they did is to do a survey preference to measure the students, what they like on the media. And we got the top 5, ranking in top 5. So our board president and the past president of the board, they joined the Aspen Leadership, and we got a grant from Aspen Leadership, and this grant will enable us to complete the transfer level math courses. We know the students are always struggling with the math during the first year, so we are going to work to help them succeed in the first year of the math, and then also create a pathway for more students to complete their degrees and transfer to four-year universities. And the next one is basic needs. We know with pandemic, it's more than ever that our students need food and housing. So during the last few months, that we have a grab and go grocery drive-through that 15,000 individuals we served. Also housing that we accommodate 289 students stay at night in a hotel emergency shelter, and also 157 housing referral tools by our partner agencies. Mental health is so important to our students too. We also partner with the Asian Pacific Islander with the Disability of California. We also partnership with the East Los Angeles Women's Center, as well as the Whole Child, to help our students during this pandemic times. And of course, with the housing, before the pandemic, we have a student identified that only 86 students, they need the housing, they are homeless. But in spring 2021, during the registration, we have a criteria, and then they will come up with the 249 students, and such an increase from 86 to 249 students. The next one is every 6 to 8 years, we'll have accreditation visit, and last time was 2014. And then this coming is next year, March 2022, for the accreditation visit. And it's a big issue to all the California community colleges. And we are preparing for the self-evaluation. The report is about 224 pages. And so right now we are sharing with the campus-wide for the input. So lastly, I would like to mention that the Congresswoman Linda Sanchez visited us and practiced our newly baseball field last month. And also she presented to us $28.8 million from the federal funding, special funding, and we greatly appreciate the student participated, appreciate, and then we took a picture at our board meeting. So that's pretty much, the end of my presentation. I want to thank you, the partnership and support from your city and to Rio Hondo College, and I would like to continue to have our partnership and relationship and then enrich our relationship, help each other, especially in the fire service area. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, our city manager's executive team reports. Like to call upon City Manager Ray Cruz.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and council members, I'm reporting here from rainy Portland, Oregon at the International City County Management Association Annual Conference. So I'd like to first state, as I warned the City Council and Chamber of Commerce Board at their annual workshop in August, efforts are going to be made to change the 1% Bradley Burns sales tax allotment that we heavily rely on. The first such effort was brought forward by the city of Rancho Cucamonga via the resolution process at the League of California Cities annual conference in Sacramento that happened last month. With many letters of support from several cities across the state, a proposed resolution called the state legislature to pass legislation to redistribute the sales taxes based on data where items are shipped to. This is a result of the shift from brick and mortar retail sales to e-commerce. However, this proposed change, and many that we have seen in the past, would have a negative impact on Santa Fe Springs and our business-to-business transactions that dominate our sales tax revenue. There was a spirited debate on the subject between the cities that would benefit and not benefit from the proposed resolution. Fortunately, from that debate, the policy committee recommended that this item to be further vetted by the city manager's department working group in the league's revenue taxation policy committee before making a final recommendation. The voting delegates the next day, thank goodness, accepted and passed the amended resolution. I did speak on behalf of the city in its opposition to the resolution as originally written, and will continue to work with the city manager's working group and the revenue taxation committee to represent the city's interests. And furthermore, as I was concerned with, and I think there'll continue to be more and more efforts to try to change the allocation, which we always seem to be on the losing end. So this is, I was afraid this was going to occur and didn't want to foresee it, but it already happened, a month after I spoke to all of you in August. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Kevin Perriman, Municipal Services Manager, to represent Public Works.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, as you know, month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And as a staff and department, we are bringing awareness by the following. Next slide, please. We have special seals, pink seals placed on all of our vehicles. Next slide. You can see up close, we have the larger emblems on the back of our dump trucks and the buses, but the smaller emblems we place magnetically next to the other emblems, which are on by sticker, which cannot be removed. So we just placed them side by side. Next slide. You can see here's a rear image of the bus, city bus, as well as the bucket truck and our dump truck. Next slide. Also, we placed them on our heavy equipment, our stake bed truck, as well as our roller. Next slide. And what's new this year, we've had made the hope sign with the O as the pink ribbon, as well as a few months ago, City Council approved new lighting for the bridge, which we implemented starting October 1st with the Paint the Town Pink. So each night this month, for the remaining, actually until Red Ribbon Week, it'll be pink every night. Next slide. Is we are supporting the fighters, admiring the survivors, honoring the taken, and never ever giving up hope. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. That bridge looks fantastic. Now I'd like to bring up Kwang Nguyen, Assistant Director of Planning.
Good evening, Mayor Moore, members of the council. I just got a quick announcement to make. We are working with the owner of Pick and Save Bargains, who will be locating within the former Rite Aid at the Santa Fe Springs Marketplace, located on Washington and Norwalk. Just a quick background. Pick and Save, if you recall, it's a franchise that opened in 1950. The first business location was in Culver City. They grew it to as large as 150 stores, but unfortunately, due to financial reasons, they went away in 2002. So we've been working with Mark Miller, who is the franchisee or the owner of Pick and Save Bargains. He's trying to reinvent the Pick and Save label. He actually worked at the original location for 15 years, so he does understand some of the values that Pick and Save had brought up to the community. The first store will open up in Anaheim, scheduled to open in November of 2021. And we're one of the next stores that will open up after that. Next slide. The location again is at 7860 Norwalk Boulevard, just to show the location and the elevation of what it will look like. Next slide. What's unique about this particular location, we also got a request separately to locate a wateria, which is essentially a small water store that will be located in the back of the store. Wateria has 3 other locations currently, one in Whittier, one in Pico Rivera, and one in Norwalk. So this will be its 4th location. We are reviewing both the tenant improvement plans and trying to work with Mr. Miller to try to get him to be open in time for the holidays. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kwang. Now I'd like to bring up Dino Torres, Director of Police Services.
I got this. It's okay. Okay, my first announcement is that the Department of Police Services looks forward to tomorrow, which is the Walk to School event. So we'll have our public safety officers out there, and Whittier police officers will be participating. The Whittier police officers will be walking the kids to school. So they won't be in their cars, they'll be walking. So it's a good thing. We're giving it that personal touch. Secondly, not too long ago, the Whittier Police Department held a catalytic converter event for residents, for Whittier residents only, up in Whittier. And it involved people signing up online to have their catalytic converters etched with their license plate number in order to deter theft. We are currently working out the details and logistics behind doing that similar event here in Santa Fe Springs. Once we find that out, then we'll reach out to you and let you know, and then have that. But it's a good event to deter the thieves from taking those catalytic converters. That concludes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dino. Now I'd like to bring up Battalion Chief Chad Van Meteren.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, good evening. Thank you for letting me speak on behalf of Chief Hayward this evening. If I get the first slide, please. The Department of Fire Rescue for the 4th year in a row has received the American Heart Association's Mission Lifeline EMS Gold Plus Award for implementing quality improvement measures for the treatment of patients who experience severe heart attacks. Our department, along with several others in the area, have been recognized for achieving goals in the recognition and treatment of severe heart attacks and utilizing technology and training in the field by our first responders. Not only treatment benchmarks, but benchmarks that get these individuals to specific hospitals for the advanced cardiac care that they need. Our paramedics and EMTs take great pride in this award, and we look forward to continuing to meet the high standards of this community. Next slide, please. Fire Prevention Week is the first week of October. This year it runs from October 3rd to Saturday the 9th. This year's theme is Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety. From beeps to chirps, this year the campaign works to better educate the public about the sound of smoke alarms make and what they mean and how to respond to them. According to the National Fire Protection Association, smoke detectors reduce the risk of dying in a reported fire by more than 55%. However, 3 out of every 5 home fire deaths that occur are in homes without smoke alarms. This year, we'll be focusing on the sounds that both smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms make and how to respond to them. Next slide, please. In conjunction with Fire Prevention Week on Saturday, October 9th, the department is happy to have back our annual open house with a slight modification this year. Our apparatus and equipment will be on display at Town Center parking lot next to Fire Station 4. We'll have hot dogs and refreshments from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Although we will not be conducting any inside tours due to COVID, there will be plenty to see outside, and information about fire safety will be available. So we look forward to seeing you all on October 9th. Next slide, please. Lastly, as mentioned earlier by Kevin, our department firefighters are recognizing October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Our members will be wearing our usual pink t-shirts with the pink logos, as well as flying pink ribbon flags on each of our apparatus to bring awareness to the community and the benefits of early detection and treatment. This campaign over the last 20 years has dramatically reduced the death rates of this type of cancer. And our department is proud to once again wear pink for the cause. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Now Director of Finance, Travis Hickey.
Just one item tonight. We celebrated Alex Tong's retirement last Thursday. He said he was not going to come in because he doesn't like the spotlight, and I guess he was serious. No, there he is. Okay, I knew he'd be here. So it was nice, obviously, to celebrate Alex's retirement, but really it was nice to gather and to be at the Clark Estate and have a number of people from the city be able to come out and have some refreshments. Mayor Mora, Councilmember Zamora were able to join us, which was nice as well. So I just wanted to share some photos from that. I do would like to bring Alex back for a formal presentation on his retirement down the road a little bit when his kids are back in town and can come see him be recognized. So we were lucky to have his wife join as well. And so it's just he's been telling me for a while, and it's doesn't seem real, but this is Alex's last meeting with us. So Friday will be his last day, and so I just wanted to thank Alex again for all of his years with the city, 36 years, 10 as a contractor, 26 as an employee, and so he will be missed. And Alex, just thank you, and I don't know if you'd like to come say anything. Like I said, I'd like to bring Alex back with a more formal presentation later with his family. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis, and thank you and congratulations to Alex. And then finally, I'd like to bring up Parks and Recreation Manager Gus Hernandez.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I have 3 announcements tonight. Tomorrow, as Director Torres mentioned earlier, we're going to be participating in National Walk to School Day. We're going to be meeting at 7:15 with the kids from 5 different schools. We're meeting at Little Lake Park and the Aquatic Center. So the kids from the Aquatic Center, we're going to walk them over to Lakeview Elementary, Jersey Elementary, and over to Rancho Santa Gertrudis. And then the kids from Little Lake Park, we're going to walk them from Little Lake Park to Crescent Elementary and to Lakeland Elementary. So we're very much looking forward to that. We want to thank our police services team and our Whittier PD, which will be participating with us tomorrow. Next slide. Secondly, this Saturday, October 9th, Count Dave the Silly Vampire will perform a children's magic show at the library. So we invite you to come by the Santa Fe Springs Library at 2 p.m. for some magic and some laughs. Registration is not required for this event, but masks are required. Next slide, please. And then finally, my last announcement is on the Dia de los Muertos event. This event will be held on Saturday, October 16th, beginning at 5 p.m. The Family and Human Services Division is hosting this cultural event. The entertainment lineup will feature the Mariachi Divas, followed by dance performances by Paso de Oro Dance Company, Ballet Folclórico Mi Herencia, and Mila Sorio with Danza Artes de Mexico. The event will also see the return of the artisan vendors, food trucks, a community ofrenda, and a sugar skull workshop. The event is free registration is not required to attend the event, but the Sugar School Workshop is $5 to participate, and we are currently taking registration for that. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Councilmember Sarno,
None tonight, sir.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Thank you.
Councilmember Zamora,
Not at this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez,
And at this time, thank you.
and I've got none. Council comments. Councilmember Sarno.
Yes, thank you. First, I want to say thank you to Public Works. The bridge looks beautiful. You always do a great job, but this was really, the new lights, the new sign really just puts us over the top. And then we always all come together and, you know, make everybody aware that this is the time of the month where, you know, cancer and other diseases are very bad, and just great to see us all come together. Yesterday had a privilege to golf with the mayor and councilwoman and all of our first responders from Santa Fe Springs Fire that collaborated with Compton. And it was a great time. Got to thank a lot of people for their service, and just wanted to say thank you to the firemen and everybody for putting on a great tournament. And I don't know, Don, if me and you are going to be back, but we're not very good at golfing, so. I also want to thank the Richmond Group, Whole Child, Habitat for Humanity, Supervisor Hahn for keeping interest in this project, this homeless project, because I think today more than ever, we need housing for homelessness that is not just a city problem, but a country problem. Homelessness is only going to get worse in the future, and hopefully we can start a trend with other cities to get on board and really try to tackle the problem of helping people that really need the help and getting them back on their feet. So I thank you guys. To the resident that was here, I don't think she's here. I didn't catch her name, but she bring up a very good point about transparency and information that us as a city needs to make sure that our community is getting that information of future projects that are going on, but not just getting that information, understanding that information. And I think that's very key for us as a city to make sure our community and our residents know what is going on, because us sitting up here, it's easy for us to go through this, and hopefully we're doing the best job for them. But if they don't come and voice their opinions on what they want to see for the future, they're leaving it in our hands. And we're not always going to make those right decisions, but we hope we're making the best decision for all of our community. And for future reference, I don't know if it's possible, Ray, if we can maybe get a presentation on the CDC guidelines for today and what possibly could be going on for the future, just because of an organization of what's going on, of restrictions and stuff like that. So hopefully we can maybe get something on the agenda at some point just for a presentation and to maybe speak about some items. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Trujillo.
First and foremost, Public Works, you guys outdid yourselves this year, as always. It's great to see that. I mean, it started off with something so small, and it's now, we're the leaders. It's just like Jay said, you know, between our Public Works and with the Habitat for Humanity, that's two projects that our small town started, and it's now growing. I mean, that says a lot about our residents, but a lot about our employees. Thank you so much. It makes a difference that here, this Paint the Town Pink started so small, and now we were the first in the area, first everything, you know, and we set the mold, and it's going further. Same thing with Habitat for Humanity. Our city is so small, and we're gonna be the first ones to do that. We're gonna be role models for other cities. Thank you so much. That's you guys. Like they said, we're up here, we do our stuff, but you guys are the ones that actually have to put all that work in. So thank you very much. At the golf tournament, yeah, it was pretty funny to see Jay and John Moore out there golfing. I don't think you guys are gonna be invited again. You guys are good entertainment though. Good.
Stay on the sideline. Don't worry about it.
Again, fire department, the collaboration with Compton, the stuff that we would hear, I mean, stuff I heard about Compton, saying how great our city is, how much we're all involved in. It says a lot about our fire department. Then we had a Whittier PD there too, also supporting, fire department. It's great. We all come together for such a great cause. So thanks for that family that we have. Our patches, Jay, your patch. Thank you so much. Whittier PD also has it. I mean, our fire, public works, but also Whittier PD. Thank you so much for collaborating with us. It's gonna be fun going to the Dia de los Muertos. That event is always so much fun, and the walk and everything. Just thank you. Thank you for making our city so great. Thank you so much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Zamora.
Also just to echo, the bridge. I mean, the fact that you guys, put the lights up, I mean, it not only helps us for, paint the town pink, but it also helps us for Red Ribbon Week and anything else that we need to celebrate, here in our community. So, the savings too, that we're gonna save too from having, just being able to switch on some lights, it makes it a lot easier for our staffing costs and other things. So I want to thank Public Works for just the efforts of seeing outside the box and, and doing something a little different. It does look great. I was able to see it the first day it went up, and then at night, it just, it's a great sight to see. So thanks a lot, you guys. Of course, I mean, we wear pink for the cause, so continue to do so. We know that cancer, whether it be breast cancer or any type of cancer, it has no discrimination, whether you're young, you're old, doesn't matter what skin color you are. Cancer is cancer, and we just need to know we always got to fight the cause and be there for others who are suffering and struggling. Just, prayer of hope. I mean, that's what we have in this world. God gives us hope. So we just want to make sure that, all glory to God. And, we know during this time, it's a difficult times. We think of our loved ones that we've lost and things like that. And it's just one of those things that we just want to make sure, reach out to those who have lost loved ones, whether it be the breast cancer or any type of cancer. Just make sure that you keep those, in your thoughts, and pick up that phone, call individuals, see how they're doing, see how their kids are doing. Do your part, go the extra mile to give that individual hope. So other than that, I want to continuously thank our staff for the efforts that they continue to do here in our city. And, thank you guys. You have a blessed night.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Thank you. And Public Works, again, I'm echoing everybody. The bridge is beautiful. It's just simply beautiful. And I purposely went to Starbucks down the street further down so I could come back and take a look at it and admire it. And it's a proud moment. My mother had breast cancer, and my sister and my two nieces currently. So, we're high risk. We take our mammograms, and I hope everybody takes it seriously and takes their mammograms and just make sure that you're safe. I wanted to say thank you to Chief Hayward, all our first responders, Cindy Yarvis for the Relay for Life, and everybody who attended. It was a very somber, nice event. And thank you to our women's club that was there to serve the cancer survivors and the caregivers and all of our guests. And thank you, Gus. I saw you there too with your wonderful, beautiful kids. It was just a very, very nice event. And, the kids got to get on the fire trucks and have fun, take photos. And it was just very nice. I want to thank everybody for all your support to the Relay for Life and the cause to beat this terrible disease. I wanted to also say that I want to thank Santa Fe High School. We went to our first foundation meeting, and I found out that we have a comm room for the youth at the school. And what that does is that helps our youth that have mental illness, depression, or they come to school, you don't know what the kids are going through, whether their parents are going through a divorce or they have some issues at home. So it's a place where they can relax and, just find who they are and get their studies done. And they have counselors and other people there to help them. So I found out that we're doing that and a lot of other positive things that are going on in the school. And I was proud to be a member of that foundation. And Alex, I know he's probably gone, but I wanted to make a point to say congratulations on his retirement. Thank you for all the IT issues that he took care of and everything else. There's probably so much more. I'm looking forward to the walk to school tomorrow. Just the youth, I mean, they're our future and we have to be there to support them. So I am looking forward to being there. I thought it was 7:30, but now we're bringing it up to 7:15, but I will be there. So Habitat for Humanity, I wanted to also thank Councilmember Joe Angel Zamora for bringing up the fact that we need to put our residents first, our veterans first, and help our homeless out there and hopefully get homes for them. So it's a wonderful cause, and we're always here to support. The last thing I want to say is I was driving home today. I was at Oranday near Telegraph, and I saw somebody speeding, and they were going so fast, and I saw these people here, and I said, I wonder if he's going to get him. Let me watch. And he got him. And I said, oh my goodness, because it's so dangerous. Our children are walking home. It was about 3:30. And I couldn't believe how fast this individual was coming down Oranday. But I saw them and I just said, he saw him too. And I said, good, we got him, because we need to make sure that everybody respects our community. They respect our kids and they respect us. We have seniors in the community that are walking to the stores, and we have children that are walking home. We need to respect our community. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and I'll just end by saying, thank you to all the departments, fire, public works, police, the city, just coming together and showing support and awareness for, particularly breast cancer, but for all the cancers that are out there. Like Annette mentioned, the Relay for Life was great organization, but from staff and also the Relay for Life team. And I know that Councilmember Zamora had mentioned that everybody's affected by this, young, old, everybody. We know someone, we could be living with it. Somehow we've been affected by this. And then it's great to bring awareness to this, terrible disease that we just got to keep on fighting. The city did host a breast cancer mobile, I think it was last week. And from what I gathered, it was very well attended. They did free screenings here in our community. And we just got to continue to, spread, awareness through our community. And then, I do believe that we are the forefront when it comes to trying to mitigate or end homelessness, because it's all over the place. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, because there are so many people that are homeless everywhere. I had to go downtown LA today to pick up some supplies, and every corner you turned, it's there. But at least, we're coming together with, all these agencies and ourselves and, community too, to try to do something. We have to do something. And this is going to be more of an intervention. So this is why I'm really excited about this project, because it's an intervention, try to get people back on their feet to, become, working members in society. And this way, hopefully, I guess that trend could be broken, because sometimes, if you're homeless, your kids are homeless, and it just keeps on going. But I think this is going to be a great thing, a great collaboration with everybody. And secondly, lastly, I don't think might get invited back to golf, because I hit a couple cars. I didn't mean to. I'm glad the windshield was up, because that thing smacked pretty hard. It was my first tournament. I've never done this before except for mini golf, and then driving range maybe once. I liked it, but if you invite me back, I'm very grateful. But also, I think I'll end with that. I do like to go golfing again. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody for being here, all the departments coming together, and just have a great evening. Thank you so much. Okay, we have reached the end. It is now 8:09. We are adjourned.